Well, good morning to all of you in Australasia. And this morning, we're going to be talking about sport. And interestingly, I had not looked at your sport product for, oh gosh, I don't know how many years. Probably the better part of 20 years, the better part of the existence of Manatech Australia. Sport was a product that was created by a formulator who he passed away a few years ago, but his name was Bill Fioretti. And Bill was a sports fanatic. I mean, sports fanatic. This guy was in the gym constantly. And his real obsession, if you will, was to find new ways to increase sports performance. That was his whole idea behind making a product that he, after he formulated it, he told marketing he simply wanted to call it sport because it was for sports, right? To be good for athletes. And what turned out to happen over time, which should be no huge surprise, since the majority of human beings are not athletes. In fact, especially in today's world, many human beings are almost the diametric opposite of athletes in a lot of countries, including and probably especially in the US. And so people weren't using sport for sports. But when some people found out that sport did other things besides help athletic performance, they started telling their friends. And of course, this is how our business works, by referral. A person has great results and they tell a friend who tells a friend who tells a friend, and then that's how things grow and that's how things work. So it's great to have products that give you results that you can actually feel. That's super, super important. Now, I know that we always have a mix of people on these calls. We have people who are very specifically product oriented or science oriented, and we have people that are business oriented. And so we've got all kinds of people involved in Manatech. And I try and make my calls so that there's information that appeals to all of those folks, no matter what their particular interest and direction is. Well, for those of you who are business oriented, one of the things that you need to be successful is you need to have products that make people feel a change and that they feel a change rather quickly. And I call those feel good products. And sport is definitely one of those products. You can feel the difference with sport fairly soon. Now, very often with dietary supplements, in fact, some of the most important dietary supplements in the entire world, people often don't feel anything with them because the changes are so gradual as the body adapts to the new biochemistry changes that they're not like suddenly aware of a jolt or a change or something. And then there are those handful of products like this one, like sport, where you actually feel the difference. Some people feel the difference literally within an hour, other people within the day, but the fact is you feel a difference. Now, what's interesting, when I finished your call last week, I was thinking to myself, man, how am I going to talk about sport and tell people what it really does, and not break the rules? Well, what I didn't realize is that you have way better claims once again. I said last week I had claim envy about the claims that you have for Australasia for bounce back. Well, folks, I've got it again because I looked at the approved claims for Australasia and I was astounded. I was astounded because I'm actually allowed to speak the truth. Wow. In most countries, we have to withhold, and I'm being careful about that, but we have to withhold the scientific truth that we know about a product because those governments simply won't allow us to tell people those truths. Well, your TGA apparently is okay with us telling you some things that sport really does, and I'm really excited about that. In fact, as I looked at your claims, my first thought was, I'll bet that there's a lot of people in Australasia who don't know this product at all, or don't know what this product does, who've probably never used it, maybe don't even know it exists. Because if they're not athletes and they see the name sport, they think, oh, that's not a product for me. I'm not an athlete. Because I don't ever recall training on sport in Australasia before. So I'm hopeful that by the end of this call, all of you will be really excited about sport, about its potential, and start using this product. And for those of you who may not use it yet, because wow, I mean, I'm just astounded by what you're allowed to say, because I do this for 27 countries. And so I look at some of the claims we have in some of the countries are so absurd that I wonder how any associate manages to sell anything. But man, have you guys got it going on down there, as they say in the U.S., in terms of your claims. Wow. Well, as you take a look at the label, and I guess that's a good place to start with all the products, really, is take a look at what the label says, because that's what the average consumer does. And besides the folks who, of course, Google everything. But usually the procedure is they look at the label, they don't know what the ingredients are, then they Google it. And then sometimes they get confused because what they've Googled isn't exactly what was in the product, or they get other information which is not accurate. And as I've said many times on these calls, as a scientist, accuracy is my number one consideration. I want us to be completely accurate on these products. And folks, especially with the approved claims that you have for Australasia, wow. Here you can be accurate, be truthful, and really have an impact. In fact, when I get done with this call, if you're a business builder and you can't sell this product, I don't know what we could do to help you. I'm serious. All right, well, let's just start, take a look at the label, and we'll start running down the list, okay? Now, of course, the first thing you see on it is Dioscorea villosa, and that's the correct pronunciation, by the way. It's taken from, Dioscorea is taken from an ancient Greek word, and it describes a particular species of Dioscorea. There are, to the best of my knowledge, at least 615 species of Dioscorea. These are types of wild yam. And I'm not sure if you folks in Australasia have a vegetable that Americans call a yam. It's really a sweet potato. It's not part of the yam family at all. So I don't know why Americans call it a yam, but they do. So I don't know if you have that vegetable in Australasia or what you call it. So I'm just saying that to have this clear for everybody, okay? So it's not in any way, shape, or form related to what Americans call a sweet potato or yam. No relation. The Dioscorea villosa has some really interesting properties. But the first thing I want all of you to understand is that a primary ingredient in a product may have a completely different function in a second product based on what it is mixed with. So in other words, many primary ingredients, when you mix them with, let's say, cofactors A, will get you one function, and then you make a separate product and you mix them with cofactors B, it gets you a different function. So a lot of people think that if it has Dioscorea villosa in it, which of course sport does, they think then, with all that Dioscorea villosa, surely this is the same as plus. It's not the same as plus, folks. It's not. Because when you combine Dioscorea villosa with the ingredients in plus, you have a different pathway of action than if you combine it with the ingredients in sport. And we have this problem all over the world where people think, oh yeah, well, I really need sport for my joint pain and so on, and I can't afford to do both, so I won't take my plus, I'll just take the sport. Folks, if you need the benefits of plus, you need the benefits of plus, and sport does not replace that. Now, there's a little bit of crossover activity, of course, there's a little bit. But not enough to replace that primary function. Manitech's first product was Plus. That was made back in 1994. Manitech's second product was Sport. And that's because it was right on the Diascoria villosa research that the company was doing at the time. Now, I didn't start consulting for the company until 1995, and then actually physically joined the company in 1996. So I was not a part of the making of this product, but it's a brilliant product, absolutely brilliant. And of course, when they made this product for Australasia, I should say, they had to make it in compliance with TGA requirements, whereas in America, it was made in compliance with FDA requirements. Well, because of that, there were a couple of ingredients in the American Sport which couldn't be used for a sport product in your region. So actually, in my opinion, you came out on the better end of this. And, you know, from the 20 years that I've been going to Australasia, I have frequently heard complaints from Australians and New Zealanders who would say to me, our product is not as good as the American product. We've been cheated. What's going on? Folks, this is definitely not the case. And Sport, your Sport, is a phenomenal product. This formulation is astounding. And then what you're allowed to say about it's astounding too. Listen, if you've got a great product and you can't talk about it, there's no point in having a great product, right? So the functional portion of Diascoria is something called diosgenin. Diosgenin, where it came to the attention of scientists, was actually back in the very early 1960s. And they were looking at plant sterols, which could potentially be made into steroids. Now, there are different types of steroids. And when I say steroid, everyone immediately has a negative idea in their mind. Okay, so get that away from your mind. You don't have any steroids in this product, all right? And there's nothing negative in this product, so get away from that one. But the initial research on diosgenin was to find out if they could make steroids. Now, they actually found that they could use diosgenin as the base material when adding other ingredients to it to make cortisone, which is an anti-inflammatory. In fact, it's a very powerful pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory prescription drug. They found out that they could use it as the base material when mixed with other ingredients to make things like pregnenolone and progesterone, which are very, very important hormones for the female reproductive system. Now, understand, in the science labs, they were making synthetic versions, and we use those synthetic versions still today as prescription drugs. But that's how the diosgenin research started. Well, going back to the idea of using this as an anti-inflammatory, because if we were talking about Plus, if we're talking about Plus, then of course we want to talk about the uses of diosgenin on female hormone reproductive pathways, as well as some things we can do for males as well. So in this product, however, because of what it's formulated with, and that's why I started this conversation with that concept, this takes us down an anti-inflammatory pathway. And this, because we're allowed to say inflammation, that word in Australasia, and it's not permitted, that word is not permitted in conjunction with dietary supplements in the United States. So if you are signing someone up in the U.S., be careful about that, because you're not allowed to say that word in the U.S. But here we're talking about actually what it does. Man, what a concept that we can actually talk about what it does. That blows me away. I'm just astounded by that. I'm sorry, but it just kind of freaks me out that we can actually talk about it in your country. I spend so much time trying to figure out, how can I get somewhere close to the scientific truth and not break the rules in country A or country B. It's a real problem for me in doing my trainings. So as we look at these, you'll see next on the label, you have, in fact, the TGA requires us to use the Latin botanical terms rather than the common ingredient names. Now that tends to confuse a lot of people. And then a lot of people look at the label and they say, what the heck is this? What does it do? Okay. Commiphora myrrha is commonly known as myrrh. Now, anyone who's familiar with the biblical nativity story has heard about frankincense and myrrh. Okay. Myrrh all by itself has some really fabulous properties. I mean, really fabulous properties. In fact, myrrh has been used historically for inflammation for, well, forever, really. I mean, for at least a few thousand years that we have recorded information about. And so that's what that means. Now, here's important. I also said when we first started this, and I want to make sure that all of you know this, sometimes people Google things and they get confused because they do the Google bit and it takes them to something which is not what they thought they were after. Okay. So here we're talking about myrrh. There's another plant which is a fairly closely related plant species to Commiphora myrrha, which is called Commiphora mucul. That's not what this is, and if somebody looks that up, they're going to see different stuff. Okay, so I want you to stay with the accuracy of this label and of this talk this morning. So we're all on the same page with that. Okay. Now, myrrh is, as I say, has been throughout history for thousands of years been used for inflammation, but it's also been used, believe it or not, when taken orally, it's been used for indigestion. It has antiviral properties, and natural practitioners have used it for colds and cough and that sort of thing. It had, because of its anti-inflammatory properties, there are natural practitioners who use it for asthma and other lung-related things. But the thing that most of our associates and customers use it for is arthritis. Now, in the United States, you can't say arthritis. So again, if you're talking with someone in the U.S. And you're getting close to signing them up or trying to get them involved in your personal Manatech family, remember, you can't say that word in the U.S. You are allowed to say it, apparently, in your country, which that blows me away. I'm just astounded by that. I'm astounded that those claims were approved. But there are a number of, in fact, the majority of this formula, of your sport formula, really is a pretty significant anti-inflammatory formula. Now, it gives you different kinds of anti-inflammatory activity than you get from Bounce Back. That's what we talked about on the last call. Bounce Back is working primarily as a systemic anti-inflammatory by breaking down certain proteins which are formed when there is muscle or joint injury, so muscle overactivity, if you will, or as we say in science, eccentric physical activity, so over-the-top physical activity, like athletes do. And when you have that activity, certain proteins are formed in the bloodstream. They contribute to inflammation, which of course causes pain. So Bounce Back works that way. So there are a lot of people who they have inflammatory issues going on, and they prefer sport because these are folks who, like really most people, can't remember to take these supplements immediately, at a particular time to be on an empty stomach. And then there's a lot of people in our world today who pretty much never have an empty stomach. They're pretty much snacking all the time. So with this in mind, sport has more favor among our consumers for that. But understand, The activities are different. Now, I am one of the number one proponents for our product Plus on planet Earth. I love that product. That product really works, and it's a feel-good product. You don't even have to understand the science behind it. You give somebody Plus, they will start that product and they will never, ever, ever stop. I know people who started that product in 1994 who have been buying that every month, every year since 1994. They won't stop because it works so well. So understand, we love Plus, but sport does not replace Plus. Does not. Okay? And it has separate, different functions. There's a little bit of crossover for female reproductive function, hormone function, but only a little bit. Okay? So don't, because as I say, I get this all the time from associates all over the world who feel that they need both products. They feel great taking both products, and then they think if they use sport to replace Plus, everything will be fine. Folks, it won't. If you know you need the benefits of Plus, you keep taking Plus. Okay? Super, super, super important. All right, so we've talked about myrrh. And I mean, you can look up myrrh, that's the common name for it. And you can look that up as an example and find, besides the biblical references, you'll find all kinds of ancient references about how this was one of the most important, one of the most prized, and one of the most expensive, quote, spices of the Middle East. So it's quite an amazing ingredient in the way it works, and you do have a functional level of it in this product per 2 capsules. You get 150 milligrams per 2 capsules, which is great, and 1.5 grams of your Diascorea villosa for this. And again, the active is the diosgenin, and not to get it confused with other plants. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, which again, they have listed this with its botanical name rather than the common name. So you look at this and you say, what the heck is that? Well, the common name, I'm not sure how you pronounce it in Australasia. In the US, they call it sarsaparilla. Well, it's actually sarsaparilla is the way it's spelled, the correct way to pronounce it. So that's the common name. Well, in North America, it's well known as an herbal used for flavoring. In fact, in the 1800s, there were very popular and common beverages which were simply called sarsaparilla, made from the sarsaparilla root. And that's what you have here. And you say, well, wow, that's it. If you've ever tasted the flavor, I think a lot of people do. I won't say everybody, of course, because I don't think there's any flavor that absolutely everybody likes. But I think most people will say to you, yeah, man, I like that flavor. That's a really great flavor. Well, it doesn't really matter too much because in a capsule, you're not going to taste it anyway. But what does it do? What is it for? What's it been used for historically? Well, historically, it's been used primarily for arthritis, for inflammation. This is a very powerful anti-inflammatory. It's natural, it's safe. This also has some very significant immune support properties. Now, it's in the original US product and it's in your product because athletes do have, they do stress their bodies more than the average person. And in fact, it is a documented fact that hardcore athletes get sick more often than couch potatoes. Not sure if you use that term couch potato in Australasia, but I think you know what I mean. So people that just sit around being inactive and eating snack foods all the time, okay? They get sick less than athletes because athletes are overstressing their systems. They push their systems beyond the norm. That's what an athlete does. That's their psychology. That's their drive. Well, if you're going to push your body beyond the norm, that means you're going to push your immune system beyond the norm, and that means you will probably get sick more frequently. And with this in mind, you want to have immune support properties as well. Well, historically, sarsaparilla has been used for its immune system benefits, some very significant ones, as well as, of course, very significant for this product, arthritis. Now, in the United States, I would say somewhere close to 100%. I would say probably it's something like 99.9% of the people who use sport in the U.S. buy it for arthritis, to help manage their arthritis. But you're not allowed to say that in the U.S. In fact, the only claim we have in the U.S. is that it may help to support already normal, healthy blood sugar. Wow, that's exciting. And it's no wonder that we don't sell almost any sport in the United States, except to those people who by word of mouth have told their friends, you know what? I don't care what they say about it, man, this really helps my knees, my elbows, my whatever. So in Australasia, you can say this, and I'm dumbfounded by it that you can, but I am so pleased for you. I'm just so happy for you that you can do this. It's, wow. I mean, it just couldn't be much better because, again, I have claim envy with you folks. I just do. Just amazing thing. So as I look at your marketing sheet, your tear sheet, as they call it, so your single page information about a product, your product information sheet, it says sport with ambertose, and it says the benefits include temporary relief of the pain. We can't say pain in the US anymore either. Of the pain of arthritis, relief of muscle aches and pains, relief of muscular cramps and spasms, aids or assists in the prevention of muscular cramps and spasms, aids, assists, or helps in the maintenance or improvement of general well-being. Wow, that is really strong and really very close to what the product actually does. So way cool. You guys who didn't know this and haven't introduced your friends to sport, what you need to do that when you get off this call. I mean, it's early in the day for you folks. You need to make some phone calls today. Now, I know that the population in Australia and New Zealand and Singapore are relatively small as compared to the US population, which is now estimated somewhere around 330 million people. In the US, we have very close to 60 million people reporting arthritis. So it's a very, very large percentage of our total population. But understand, the majority of immune system problems, and I mentioned this on last week's call, immunologists and rheumatologists have been arguing with each other about this. And I don't care. They can argue all day long. I really don't care. But they will argue about, does the immune issue cause inflammation, or does inflammation cause the immune issue? They can't settle this argument. I don't care. Whenever you have an immune issue, you have inflammation. However it started, whyever it started, you have it. This means that there are an enormous percentage of your populations in your three countries who can benefit from this product, an enormous percentage. Remember, even though your claims do not have immune system benefits as part of your claims, so don't say that to anyone. That's important that you make no claims that are not approved for your countries. This product actually delivers. With these ingredients and these amounts, this product delivers. So it meets it actually exceeds the claims that you have approved for Australasia. And there must be millions of people in your three countries who can not only benefit from this product, but who will feel that benefit. Once again, those of you who are business builders, if somebody feels a difference and they feel it fairly quickly, they're going to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. So it makes it a great door opener product, as they say in the business world. It's a great conversation starter, if you will, okay? And there is no restriction that you have to take it on an empty stomach or none of that stuff. Now, it is important that you follow your label recommendations. Our legal department is quite strict about that. And so your label says 2 capsules before your event, whatever that is, your exercise, whatever, and 2 capsules after, recommending a total of 4 capsules per day. That's the idea, okay? But your claims for pain, inflammation, arthritis, wow. I mean, this is really, really, really good. Now, where the immune system part fits for you, without saying it, is the last of your approved claims, which is improvement. So helps in the maintenance or improvement of general well-being. You have general well-being if you're not sick, right? Just think about that. Some people don't put these things together by themselves. They have to be directed. And others, they see this and they go, wow, I know how I'm going to interpret that. Okay. So either way, whichever one you are, then you'll be able to do that. So don't feel bad or in any way deprived that you don't have 2 of the ingredients that are in the U.S. formula, because you have ingredients that are not in the U.S. formula, and you have the claims to actually be able to successfully introduce this to people, for God's sakes. And that's fabulous. Now, going down your list, you see something that, again, it's a Latin botanical name, Oryza sativa, and you say, what the heck is that? It means Eastern rice. Okay, that's what it is. And so you have some Eastern rice powder in there. Okay, a very, very small amount, as you see, 60 milligrams. Then we get to acacia, and many people know about acacia. Some people don't. Some people know of it as, well, that's a tree, right? Yes, it is a tree. And like so many trees, and I think if we had the money to do more exploration on more trees, we could probably find a lot more amazing stuff in the bark of trees. Many trees that we've already studied, when you scrape out the inside of the bark, so not the bark itself, but on the inside of the bark of any tree is a kind of gummy substance, and that's called a tree gum, of course. And inside of the gummy substance is nutrition. And it's nutrition that the tree benefits from, of course, for its health, but it's nutrition that very often can be used for human beings, and then they benefit from it as well. Well, traditionally, if we're looking at natural practitioners, acacia tree gum has been used traditionally to help manage cholesterol. You don't have a cholesterol claim on this product, so don't say that to anybody. So it has been used as the gum itself, the acacia gum, has been used to put on, to apply with your finger, whatever, on your gums, and to help with tooth plaque. Now, that, again, that's not one of our claims. Natural practitioners will tell you that they've used it for blood sugar. And some natural practitioners have successfully used it for weight management as well. So it has a lot of potential benefits. Okay, but the overall are the things that I've already mentioned. Now, acacia is something else that acacia has been used for by natural practitioners is bowel problems in which you have irritation or inflammation. Why? Because it has some anti-inflammatory properties to it. And that's really why it's in this formula. Also, acacia has, and now don't make that claim. I'm just telling you how this works, all right? Please only use our approved claims. This is very, very important when you're talking to other people. Also, natural practitioners have recognized that gum acacia, or acacia gum, depending on what literature you're reading, has been used as a prebiotic to promote the growth of good bacteria in the intestines. So it has a number of, I think, very, very important uses, but it's primary in this formulation. Our reason for putting it into your formulation is, once again, for some of its anti-inflammatory properties. Now below that, you see aloe vera inner leaf juice dry equivalent to inner leaf juice fresh. Geez, the way we have to write these things in the different countries. What does that mean? In simple terms, it means manipul. And so this means that you've got some manipul in here. When you see tragacanth, or on some labels it'll say gum tragacanth, or sometimes it'll say tragacanth gum, same thing. This is a plant gum that contains a whole bunch of glyconutrients. So it has glyconutrients that you didn't even know were in ambrotos. For instance, ambrotos contains a glyconutrient called arabinose, and it contains one called rhamnose. Now, you don't even know that because we never talk about it. We always just say tragacanth. Gum gatti also is a plant gum that provides you with a number of glyconutrients, some of which you were not aware of. And when you combine aloe vera inner leaf juice, dry powder, blah, 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 which is manipul, with tragacanth and gum gatti, guess what you have? You have ambrotos. Now, different countries make us list these things differently. I have given up on attempting to understand their reasoning for the rules in each of our 27 countries. Each time it's just like, okay, whatever you guys want. I'm not going to even try and argue with you anymore. So we just make the label and we get whatever approved claims that we can get. So it doesn't say ambrotos, but I want you to know that what you're looking at there are the glyconutrients, or what is scientifically referred to as glycans, because glyconutrient is a commercial word. Glycan is the scientific term to describe those same molecules. Okay, so that's ambrotos. Now, don't think that you can replace your ambrotos with this product either, because I want you to be aware of the amounts of each of those, are very small amounts. Why are they there? We have found in virtually every experiment we've conducted, and I mean all of the experiments we have conducted, where we try and see, will the following set of ingredients function the same or less or better when we add ambrotos glyconutrients? And each time we find they seem to function better if we add even a very small amount of ambrotos glyconutrients. We believe that this is due to cellular communication. The better you make your cellular communication, the better function you have of anything you swallow. So that's why it's there. Your last ingredient on the list is chromium as a picolinate. What does that mean? When you make a mineral chelate, what you have done is you have combined that naturally occurring mineral with an amino acid. This process then is called chelation, when you bond those two together. Now understand, and I know this will be a shock to some people because the majority of the planet are not scientists, all right? The overwhelming majority. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? All minerals are natural to planet Earth. So all minerals are natural, okay? But Only one of all the minerals known to science is organic. That's carbon. All the other minerals, although they're natural to the planet, they are not organic. So if you try and put something into your body which is not organic and you want to be able to absorb and utilize it, you need to process it in a way where it is well absorbed and it actually gives you function. Science has found that the most efficient way to do this with a mineral is to combine it with particular amino acids, depending on what your function is. So you use a natural amino acid, you combine that with a natural mineral, and then you make a chelate. In this case, it is picolinic acid, so it's picolinate is what it's called, chromium picolinate. Chromium picolinate, by numerous, I've lost track of how many studies now, has been shown to be the most efficient and effective form of chromium. This is why different minerals are combined with different amino acids to make them effective. Now, in case you didn't know this, again, I'm going to give you a piece of information that's brand new to some of you. Once again, the only mineral, I don't care what kind of advertisement you see, all right? Advertisements are advertisements. I'm talking science. The only mineral that's organic is carbon. It's the only one. I don't care what else you read anywhere for any reason. It's only one that's organic, just carbon. Right. Now, plants are also living entities, a lot less complex than we are, obviously. They need minerals for their health, their life, their growth, but they can't absorb and utilize a natural mineral unless it's chelated. So what do plants do? Plants chelate the natural minerals. As they're pulling the mineral from the soil, or in the case of hydroponic growing, as they pull the mineral from water, they have to, at the root level, they have to chelate that natural mineral in order to actually absorb it and utilize it. Otherwise, the plant can't use it either. So plants chelate natural minerals from their source, whether that is soil or water. And that's what we do in science for you. And the best, most effective of all the studies out there, what form of chromium is going to work best for blood sugar is picolinate. So that's why we chose that one. Now, the amount of picolinate, chromium picolinate, that you have in your formula is not what would be recommended for blood sugar control. The amount that's in there is the amount that's in there on purpose, same that we have in the US, for the original purpose of this product. And the original purpose of this product is not any of the things I've already talked to you about. The original purpose of the original sport product made back in 1994 was to reduce lactic acid buildup in muscles when your muscles were being eccentrically worked or overworked. What would an athlete do? Well, the athlete's going to push their muscles as hard as they can. When an athlete pushes their muscles as hard as they can, they begin to build up lactic acid in the muscle, and as they build up lactic acid, that results in pain. The more pain they have, the less likely they are to want to continue. So the lactic acid buildup causing pain makes them stop doing their event, their exercise, their run, whatever it is. And our original formulator of the original sport product, his goal was to reduce lactic acid buildup in muscles so that athletes could get more repetitions with their weights, run longer before the pain got to them, do any athletic event longer, harder. That was the purpose. Now, you don't have that claim on your product in Australasia, but that's okay, because the overwhelming majority of human beings that you will meet the rest of your life will not be athletes. The overwhelming majority. But human beings all over the planet who are athletes or non-athletes are going to have muscle pain and inflammation. That's for sure. Okay. And many, a huge percentage, are going to have arthritis or similar problems. So the claims that you have for this product, which not only has an excellent, tremendous combination of ingredients for the function to fit your claims, but you've got those claims. So you can actually talk about it. If U.S. associates knew what I just told you, they would all be upset because, we can't say any of that stuff about sport. Well, no, you can't. But in Australasia, you can. So let me go back to the beginning for all of you. It's highly probable, as I say, I don't ever remember training on sport in Australasia before. Perhaps I did. I've done zillions of training. And the questions I get from Australasians are almost always, I would say 96 to 98% related to Ambertos or to Plus or to one of the vitamin products. I almost never get a question on the other products from Australasia, pretty rarely. This gives me the idea that maybe beyond the people who use it on a regular basis and know it works and they love it, maybe there are a lot of Australasians who don't know that this product exists, or maybe they don't know all the huge benefits of this product, how functional, how amazing this product is. Well, now you do know. So now there's no excuse. Now you've got to tell everybody you know. And folks, you're going to talk to people who need help in all of the areas of your approved claims. How cool is that? That you've got the right ingredients and you've got the claims to be able to talk about it. Gosh, I love that. I just love it for you guys. So if you haven't used this product yet, and you have, I'll do your claims again very quickly, temporary relief of pain of arthritis. There has to be at least hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in your 3 markets who have arthritis. Relief of muscular aches and pains. Boy, that covers a broad spectrum of stuff. Now, don't talk about anything that's not part of your approved claims. I know I've said that again and again, but it's really important that you don't, that you stay compliant, okay? Relief of muscular cramps and spasms, aids or assists in the prevention of muscular cramps and spasms. There's going to be people that fit in that direction. Just think, just use that amazing gray mass between your ears and think through this about all the people you know. Sit down this afternoon and think about all the people you know. Think about all the things they've said to you about various health complaints, because people are always talking about their health. They start with the weather or sports, but the conversation always gets to health in some way, shape, or form. And then, of course, last, aids, assists, or helps in the maintenance or improvement of general well-being, which, of course, everyone needs, okay? So the product is gluten-free, it's caffeine-free, it's got Ambertos complex in it, which has always been my favorite. I always used Ambertos complex. And of course, with the new Ambertos Life product came out, I started using that after we formulated that one. But Ambertos complex is astounding and amazing, okay? So there you are, sport in detail with information I think you can use to really help a lot of people with a great product. Hopefully this was helpful to all of you. I wish you all a really great weekend. And it was great to have this opportunity again this week to talk with all of you.